냥제 쳔보 좀더 힘이서 좀더 좀 쳔보 내게 바크르타는 산도 시험을 또 틀지 않나 기시험 살 다데라 nga chu cha da ne shi chu bu cha so to la min nam jir dan de ra go ne da chu chu de xia ji yin.
So, si jamais pour les Français, la traduction c'est Canal 10. So, this morning, the teaching of this morning will mainly be connected with the Guru Yoga, the unification with the Lama. So this is mainly what I'm going to talk about.
Tani ta terang so chutun chapi ner kamnan dana yenji girkat ta ron ta mayam bag tani ta sben ya dana tani jarko jamba girkai ko ne tani songo yosare te pe yapore.
So today the teaching is translated into English and also in other languages such as Spanish and so forth, which is very good.
상집 정도는 내가 양 또 추추 추즈진도 라이르가당 흘러당 노전다 좀더당 메이르가난다 로아근지 저크츠스바 탐실가도 덕크 추탄 도즈이다나 회나 로아다리 소소 하당 흘러당 드네 다리가 마마연 라스바 로아 몽보지가 라랑당 탐비르가크 다리가 추송 적송을
So actually Buddha Sakyamuni himself said that when he gave teaching, he would give it in the language of the gods, in the language of the Nagas, in the language of the Rakshas, and the man-eaters, the Gandharvas, and in all the languages of human beings. So therefore, when the Buddha taught, he taught always according to the languages of all the different kinds of sentient beings.
대란즈이나 드네 당아서 추추고 수원도 시르동고 라민 남줄 담제라 라민 남줄 담제란도 드니 다 추탐측 수 시접근도 다 흥원조가 나오죠. 옛날에 냠는 거도 시에나 단도 공지 드니 각서 원도 다 탐측 거자와인 저희다는 혼 기바던 집이 라마 탐측 정치도 송원제.
So actually the teaching today is connected to Guru Yoga, and the practice of Guru Yoga is like a central or like a principal among all the Dharma practices, and it's usually like considered as a preliminary practice, like it's part of the preliminary practices, yet it is a practice that is like the actual practice or main practice, and is considered to me to be really like the center or the core of all the actual practices. So all the lamas of the lineage have explained that very clearly.
다추 냠슬렘 반데라 렌스르 몽보지고네 다 라민 남줄도 수 랑기 따팔라 때니 또다 똑바 차버전 랑기 jel라 끼르시티 그탑 모마인 바지기 힘겨요.
So then all like different practices can have different specific purposes and different levels, but the practice of Guru Yoga specifically, like the main point of this practice is devotion, and it's how to give rise to this special realization within our mind through the power of devotion. So this practice of Guru Yoga is a special means for that.
Shir tapaji pandayang tani napshoko tani yang chulung gari gana tapade 다 추대 줄지스 만정나 파르치를 ranchi gdare nyarwala supala hongjo ju timogo 다 차박을 남바잔 건조지 대양 요래다 있나요 맞수 나 상기 바가 빠지기는 다 내리그 지슴 장위 그 추양다 비도나 니시타모 마인 바기비 스타와지가 저초고요래.
So actually devotion, I think in the West and in Western religions is something that is understood pretty differently. Like it's the idea that you must practice, you must have devotion to God or so forth, otherwise at death you will fall in hells, you will have some punishment and so forth. So in Buddhism this is not at all the way we conceive devotion. Devotion mainly means to follow the actual like way things are, to follow the fundamental nature, and to find like a real certainty in that. So this is what truly devotion means in Buddhism.
Chula tapa inandra, lama la tapa inandra, Tomer, then Jimson yang tapa shibi, stavi jism rangi te hachang karchimpore. Karti Jimson yang tapa mashi rankarka, the rangi kashok samku jism rangi na, tatelanga sur monta jeriore.
So either we talk about devotion to the Dharma or devotion to the Lama, we first need to understand the reasons well and know the reasons well before we like follow Dharma or the Lama and before we give rise to devotion. This is very important. Otherwise, if you just have devotion like out of the blue, then this is what we call ignorant devotion, and it's not pure authentic devotion.
Nelik damar dambaga ter tawa tena shir nawa sanji paga togo jong kane jang tang da malim ba jire.
So generally in like the fact of believing in something that is not correct, that is not true, not according to the way things are, or the mode of being, is something that is generally not accepted in any of the Buddhist texts.
Pena jong chenpo chabram pakparto pale dagna sanji shugman san sirtia sugla mardang jang gangzig rikbar dambiz tenir tomber yongsin zan songjir nangdon chire zena nga so sanji baji narana sanji chondan de ngi shugre zi telatare shugsun zanji dana devjin dana jamba ga tari ga chamtado ndo shiror ware ngi tari ga shugsun mari zi da maratorki te manse chire zenena si liglar jimsen yang dag ba dang nelik de rigba dang dan ba yenena de dari ga siksong ne na de nga chu tombar zan ze da dang nga chu de ga na sanji ba ga tawi zu jin zan sa de mo zan zang ge yore.
So actually it says in the Buddhist text that the Buddha said himself, you should not like follow me or follow my teachings out of sort of a partial attachment to me and thinking, oh, this is a teaching from the Buddha, or this is a Buddhist teaching, so therefore it has to be correct, and a teaching that doesn't come from and that is not Buddhist, that belongs to other philosophy, in itself will be wrong because it belongs to other philosophy. So you should not criticize them in this way, but examine who is actually right, who is speaking according to the reasons and logic, and this is the one you should follow, and this is the one you should hold as your teacher. So this is a very fundamental point of the Buddhist tradition, of the Buddhist philosophy.
Tatana matsu nawa sanji bagar tawade zirko nan draga che nambaga tene lama lar chapsan rowa na draga kan yana tangbo tene rigbar number takbaga takgo rigbar number takbaga takgo na nelik dan mardan nelik dan mardan na tene sanji ge chuin nan draga lamik song nan draga te dari ga ta tang da malang jang na ni ba yo mare.
So actually, when we talk about the Buddhist view, either the Buddhist view or when you have the refuge for your Lama, in whatever way, you need to examine with the logic. You need to examine logically if it works according to the way things are, according to the way things function. Otherwise, even if written in a Buddhist text or if it's your Lama said it, but if it doesn't accord with the reality, then it should not be accepted.
On nelik dan dambaji bate yang no zo togo sherab la ten tak gon ta ti sherab te one ga dambo chi tusum gonsum diz meni na rankar ko tani ta sherab nyense wa zu ta na sherab togo ranga wa ji ko togo lami kam sho yin na ja ga de jin de rang ga chunyam slen ji na ja ga de so yobo zu shi thap ko yon mare.
So the main thing to understand the way things are and to examine, we should examine with our like wisdom, discerning wisdom, how things are, and like the mode of being. And in order to examine that, we do need to train our wisdom with like hearing, reflecting, and meditating upon the teaching. Because if we don't have this training, then just by like our wisdom alone is not sufficient to be able to practice the Dharma properly.
Then the tambo so the manga kolog nyamsalana in naran tuba kala kansam nibar jangar gore garte tuba jam menina chabar the tansang tindala mar nam kar napto hali batari mambo yore tene tokba chabo yore tokba mambo yore tene tari ga ta sanji ge chuin nandra lami konshu chenandra ranga tuba gar manje de mayone zonte namji ga nerkamna tene chula lokta chiwa dana tene to lama la tari lokta chiwa so
actually, when we practice the instruction, the peace instruction, it is important to first have a certain experience in listening to Dharma teachings, because if like it's nowadays very easy to have different thoughts and doubts about the things, like about the teachings, the Buddhist teachings, or about our Lama's conduct. So if we don't have enough experience in like listening to Dharma teaching, then it will be very easy to have wrong views towards the Buddhist teaching or towards our Lama's conduct. So it's important to establish a good foundation of listening to teaching.
Tangsa the lama nam gya zo dari ngonjo lor to nam je dana tene ngonjo banga la so ba zo de gar ta mando ne thakar kane ne tina tar zo ba chembo dana shagya chembo dana devjen dana che hoina ta dorjen jikshit ki dorji de la so ba gar ta kam tho sho ba kan lang thakar kar lo man la cha chona anerkps koron so la yang ji sem dari ga 다 판바다 데바티스 요레다 옛나요 마지 양 답바 jamais 비kim비 남지가 내ርከ나 되니 라로 탐식 그런 거 ram상 다리가 도리용지 요레.
And so actually nowadays it happens that teachers like lamas directly give instruction on Zopa Chempo or Mahamudra without letting the disciples first establish the base of the four thoughts which turn the minds towards the Dharma, or without accumulating the 500,000 accumulations of preliminary practices. And so then they directly give this teaching on Zopa Chempo or Mahamudra, or they make them practice Yamantaka and so forth. And it could be beneficial, like in short term, to make the mind happier and make the mind better. But because there is not this foundation of the preliminary practices, then it can very likely there can be troubles then later between the Lama and disciple, or like a defect in the disciple's practice can arise because of that.
Tatana de watso sangam yamselene yan ta zerwa namji yang zo tambo tare ngonjom bonga tene chi ngonjoga ta lojong gor kornde yin rong warta tene chi tammo jinro tna tene chi ranga chu de yang ta chumta yhwaza de lemta malo che chugum ta yhwaza de chonro dore ngama nga so boyen na eko lama jibe de ta tir ngama ga na haliba ga lama shenlap chang da lama chakchen ji gonje konge yin na ngunru de zo urchan do ida tani jima dari eko lami loma yeno jo tamche da na chu pe dari ga tani chuba halibi dari antang wa yin ge ta dimo logi ga na yore.
So actually in the practice of secret mantra, the main practice is the preliminaries, the 500,000 preliminary. Then to train our mind through these preliminaries is extremely important to make our mind, to make this training very stable in our mind. And then based on that, then it's very easy for the teachings, to practice the other teachings, and to for this practice to reach like a certain a perfection, or to truly reach their goal. And in the past, in Tibet, there was a very blessed Lama, very great Lama called Yukok Lama, and he would really emphasize so much on the preliminary practices, and would let his disciple practice the preliminary practices so much. And at the end, many of his students became very famous for having really a perfect realization of the Dharma, or perfect practice of the Dharma, because they had established this 500,000 these preliminary practices, this base, they had established it so strongly.
Lama ji the Tangsan na yang mambo ji ga Lama da ngara ni ga da ren jamnyam re tene Lama la kiba da na Lama la suran de ke da na Lama la ngudru je wa so to go guba man de chire zena ko yang me yin ba da na ngarang su da ri ga mse yin na ran jamnyam yin ba re ze da ne yang ta mangari ga tendi da ri ze chu yo ko re.
So nowadays, there are many people who, when we talk about the lamas, they say, or the spiritual masters, they say, "Oh, my lama and me, we are equal. We are just the same." Because so there's no need specifically to be so respectful to my lamas or to supplicate my lama, because he is a human being. I'm a human being. So all human beings are the same, and there's no need to be specifically respectful or have any special treatment for the lama. So some people say that nowadays.
Shirtung lama ji de ngacho nangba ga jong ga na lama sangje dan jawa song re lama sangje ngui no song re je tan lami tari ga ske dan lami ngag ni ga tari sangje ngui re song ga yo ma re.
So generally in the Buddhist teachings we say the lama, the spiritual teacher, is equal to the Buddha, or the lama is a true Buddha. And when we say the lama is equal to the Buddha, we don't say his body or his speech is equal to the Buddha.
Lamam sanya tang dambaji yana lami tujik yondan hoina kembi yondan da zebi yondan da nipi yondan kemse nixim ge yondan da sanje da shangju senhua da qian zha wo gam yana sanje shangju senhua go ogomba da yer me bo to chabre me par ta ve yo pi ti jim sang go to lami tari go da ogomba lami ogomba churk te tari go da sanje da da nyambo yin ze da no da jong so sur ka na te song yo re.
So what we say in the Buddhist teachings that if the Lama is an authentic Lama, his mind, his mental consciousness has the same qualities of wisdom, of love, loving kindness, and of ability as the Buddha, or like power as the Buddha. So therefore, the Lama's mind, it should be at least similar, very similar to the Buddha's and the Bodhisattva's mind. The Lama's mind is even indivisible from, or at least if not, the Lama's mind should be is indivisible from the Buddha and the Bodhisattva's mind. So therefore, when we say Lama is indivisible from the Buddha, it means his mind, his wisdom mind is the Dharmakaya, and therefore is equal to the Buddha.
Lama tenji tela rambaz gyore tambo lama sanje nguen martai lama te chokbor ta tene ta lama ga chu maji ko tela kyun yo ta yondan yo tambo takshi shwe ji kar chegar.
So actually when we follow Lama there, a gradual stage is a progression in the way we follow the Lama. First we should not consider the Lama as a true Buddha, but consider the Lama as a companion, and examine the Lama, examine the qualities and the defects of the Lama. That is what we should do in the beginning.
Tani lamim dang ke chu de thotte tani lamim zapa te yang sangje dang shangchu sanghwa la kyabar me tani lami thigje ke yondan de yang sangje shangchu sanghwa da kyabar me ti lama de sangje dan rawun de shi de kumkor.
And then as we receive teachings from the Lama, and then we should consider that the Lama's activities are similar or no different from the Buddha and Bodhisattva's activity, and that the qualities of his mind are also similar or like approaching the qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Tani namjig anerkamna lami thiji yondan khoina semgi ngo chirta jundar tobaga rigbate tani tari rangi yang ngomchot tani rangi yang shi tani lami thigdan rangi tari ga semnika gomba yermet senri namjig anerkamna ta sanje jibata yang dele janjig mak samji rang semgi neli chirta jun tosondi tirkas de lama sanje ngun samjo tin deshi gam ti tapate ki yonre.
And then at some point, by following the Lama, when we are introduced to the essence of our own mind, our awareness Rigpa, and we recognize that essence of our own mind, and we know that essence of our own mind, and our mind become inseparable from the Lama's wisdom mind, then we can know the Buddha, that the Lama's mind is the Buddha itself, and your own mind is indivisible from the Buddha itself. Then you will have at this point the devotion of seeing your Lama as a real Buddha, as an actual Buddha.
Tiyanir kamna Lama la sanje ngu tapa teyang doba me pare pena malare bi tosong yora mame wembi richud ne yit kyoshi wala sandi men Lama tirsum sanje yitongwe wala jarwa men te da kong wen chana yo ti ngimjong ki da na de ngimjong yit kyowa ga tari ngane namyang tari jarwa me kas de Lama tirsum sanje de ta yimbala yimbrishi no ti Tirtavi tapa tongwe watela, namyam jaramesi. Wherna lamit nawata mamdra. Lama jikide. Ngune jik sangje da chabrama ka kartib lama menina nge tari jikten kam ka rang tari semgya nelik da chutam jika nelik de. Tongna mare ta lami tari shawate sangje shawata chabrama ka samju kongum chenle dang kongi tari ga ta shawa gar ko ne rangla ngishi tamo maemba jeyong tabore.
So then when we have this devotion of seeing the Lama as a true Buddha is, for example, as Milarepa said, he said in the solitary mountain hermitage, there's nothing to distract me from my sadness or from the weariness or the sadness from the suffering of samsara, and therefore there is nothing to I never separate from the devotion to my Lama, who is the Buddha of the three times. And therefore, my mind never separates from this devotion. So therefore, this Milarepa was saying that in the mountain hermitage, the renunciation to samsara arises very strongly, and from this renunciation, then he never forgets the Lama or never separates himself from the Lama, who is equal to the Buddha of the three times. So therefore. To see your Lama as a real Buddha is not only something that you see through the normal worldly activities, but through understanding your own mind. And at some point, you should see the Lama's activities you should see the Lama's activity as indivisible from the Buddha's activity, and find a certain understanding or certainty on that.
Rang semgya nelik toju to zo lami shen la role ore sore.
So to be able to realize the nature of your own mind mainly depends on the Lama's blessings.
Tundam hanji ki pi ishi sok sok jiba ta pi lagji ta todun lami shen no konal yinji 1000 tembar mombar shibra sha song te yin na nga su harki ge ishi te chirta jindar tojo tsuwa tari ranga tsoksa ki jiba janje te nidan tsoksa jiba janje dan te ne tari todun lama ga tari shinlap te zantab kirko gane ranga jilar ki jo ta ndoksam kona yin tam makto ba jo jangag tabsir tamchit boyana ta mongbi shaware to yang ta bi le kamare songre.
So it is said that to realize the innate ultimate primordial wisdom, one should accumulate, perform the accumulations and purify the obscurations, and rely upon the forceful method of receiving the blessing of a realized Lama. It would be stupid to to follow any other means. So I try to realize that innate, like fundamental primordial wisdom, then it's necessary to perform the accumulations of merit, purify obscurations, and most importantly to rely upon the Lama and on the Lama's blessings, rely upon the blessing of a realized Lama. And so any other, like trying any other way would be completely ignorant or stupid.
Lama jikita tanga su rangi tapa yona ranga tari mangak tong kanga lama te yang lama jena chokre. Karte ranga ten ravi tapa mena khwena ngarar mboche la soba taga sangye tam shanchu sangwe chirwa ranga la chumrir toyo pi karong jigla rangi lama yang samna te yang chokre.
So when we talk about the devotion to the Lama, we can have devotion to the Lama from whom we mainly receive the peace instruction and consider him as a real Buddha, and we can also have devotion from all the Lamas that we receive certain Dharma teaching or Dharma connection, thinking that they are real emanations of Guru Rinpoche and real emanation of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Lami shenla te rangar jella jigne zonte tene ngune tare lama te gadrang ngune na pena rangi phada rangi mada rangi zarda la sobaga majen kangi yang janda me patawi tare ta tela gawa ta tawin de shi su tabre jin de che yong re.
So when the Lama's blessing enter into our mind, then we will know that his kindness or her kindness is like incomparable compared to the kindness of our parents or the kindness of our partner, life partner, and the love and sort of inspiration we will have towards our Lama will be just absolutely immense and like constant.
Hwardan tsaw lamar mur kajik tsaman lokta marche chumzu chusum tong mugi lami shan lo semlan jik parisho ze hwarna lami tariga shotsir kangdang kain nando tablam kipi semchen ka tom rak kizire maktok zaymanan dela tariga tene chik nora dan chara la so bakang yon marib sanne tene tana kajik mak chik tsamyana lami tariga mzapa kang sho nara te lokta marche tamchit bodu chusum tong ter tawa tariga lama 답신럽 때 답거냐라 지브르 kirchu sami gendanga su xorande binerka nayo tertawi tari xorande ko yonre.
So we usually perform these prayers and says towards the activities of our precious Rud Lama, our kind Rud Lama, may I never have a single wrong views, and through this devotion of seeing all his activities as pure, may the blessings enter my mind. So therefore, no matter what the Lama, whatever activities the Lama perform, we should all see it as a means or a skillful means to guide disciples, but not see it as any error or mistake. And with this devotion of not having wrong views for even a single second, then the blessings can truly enter our mind. So this is application that we do.
Lami shenlub latte ne ranga semgyang ne lik tokbando ngasu tangsang gandi lobcha chimbu namgo tene lobang su gergen latte ne gergen go mara flapsha chat ne tene shivsha janju teni ka rol khakare rol sosore.
So the way we realize the nature of mind based on the devotion of the Lama is a completely different connection of Lama and disciple that the connection you can have between a teacher at school or at the university and his student. So it's completely different.
Te penanga so bobaga sachana yana shangzo da dozo da shangzo revzo tene ta gergen mambo yora ti gergen mambo so phugo yana da loma jana ti rangi taga shisha de korang so la lapcha shene na ta teni pansang gergen zamzre te zam rankar ko tela shiun rankar jela kenre ma to zemana khorna thaba chimbu chu da sang ka chu sha na ta wi tenjim re ra yomare.
So for example in Tibet we have professors or teachers that can teach you certain handicrafts such as working wood or carving stones or like working on working the iron and so forth. But these professors or teachers, they explain you a certain knowledge. They pass on to you like a specific knowledge, but that's very different from the like what a master of Mahayana or secret mantra Vajrayana can pass on to you.
Penanginguni na ta ngama lopchan do mikana tene chi jai ko girgandana tene jinjir ta murg archik ta poig la sopa girgan mamboten yonra girgan mamboten na nginguni ta chamala tare gajan chejiyo reta yenaya tare pena samar ngapke ta ga gajan samdang ga laming lamada dare chireyona te tare jikten ga shisha dana tene jikten depi tene semjing o다나 대전다나 타바 침부 출동 근거 라마가 tene 연단다나 tene 쇼강한테 야나 차버 침부요 요래 요요래 ngaran ngoni na testawatari gote tatsartari jokoyore.
So, for example, when I was at school, before I had teachers who taught me how to speak and read Chinese language and how to read Tibetan scriptures and also all the different sciences and so forth. And I'm very glad to them for what they taught me. But if I compare to my Lama endowed with the three kindnesses and who gave me the secret mantra Vajrayana, and so the kindness is just absolutely incomparable, because the teachers, normal teachers, give you some sort of worldly knowledge, while your Lama passes on to you the essence of mind of Dzogpa Chenpo, of great perfection. So the qualities that they possess and the kindness that they've given me, for me, is absolutely different. And so this I always keep that different in mind.
tene jikten paror de sonanja thamayen baga thamong go de shisha ga girgen tan de chodari gan jikten paror de sonena ngarang la semna dengkri yore da yinna na pena zolong me pagane tene magna gam chima wonje tenri tare dengri yomare.
So, for example, when my parents passed away from this world, or when my normal teachers, like when they died, it caused me suffering, of course, but it's not like this unbearable suffering that brings so many tears out of my eyes and so forth.
Pena tane tare tachi thaba chimbu chu thamo maim ba songka ngi tsawi lama so ton tane lama yibjenore kambon jigme panzo tsare khore shati me pare tane dedang jawa go to kambo tebaji dane yang da ngala chi chu thopke dana da hwachur ngro tela te kamzang lami jarlong tela sokpa go chu mambo chu thop nyong na mare da yinna yana ngi semje da tari go ta chi thamo maim ba go nang chu go tawa da thaba chimbu ji 다 지금 연돈 몽어지거든 공거 get니 끼요 또 공 라마 신럽 장지게래 다 때라때네 몸에 공 남바다리 파지된 바로 다장 학생으로 내렸거나 할레바다리 지금 늑무측 바다비다리 셈나요나 다롱이나 르전던 거 빼나 말람나 알미네나 다니 야라 사티지 연롱어 와도 다 지금 셈나라다리 라마 짠제다는 데니 그 진대양은 지금 문에 다림 치마전에는 라마라 소란디 다 데스타이 나와다 진대양 다리가 단 적진의 디몬스도 옛날에 데나 남바소이나 지금 직된 거 다리 길근즈 거다 대잠스기 스타반데 왜 매네나 지 가속상 거 같으면 마연 바 라마 댄서다 라미 남줄 거 돈디 쩌타비전도 고고나 베 칼레 커버레 삼고요.
So for myself, my root lamas, according to the teachings of the great vehicle, Khenpo Jime Prinsok and Khenpo Tepa, and I've received teachings from many other teachers, including the teaching on the words I'm a perfect teacher from Patrul Rinpoche and so forth. But from these lamas, I've received this uncommon blessing of from these two lamas. I've received really the uncommon blessing from their wisdom mind into my mind, and therefore, when they left to the Pure Land, so the suffering was really unbearable for me, and it almost still is. It almost still is until now. That sometimes I dream about them, and for a really long time I remember them and miss them and cry and supplicate them with devotion. So this is something that stays always with me. And for yourself, so if you have, you should follow your Lama in a way that, with a view that is very different from the view of a worldly teacher. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to realize any of the meaning of the secret mantra Vajrayana.
Testayu Lama de Jind Yela Chanjo to the Yedum Gal Hab Gumbale Jam Payon Chivari. Harkum Bumcham Gumbale, Lamar Kajik Jambim Cho, the Jikar Naksong.
So actually to remember your Lama constantly like this is more beneficial than to meditate on any deity, as it is said that remembering your Lama for even an instant is better than to meditate on 100,000 deities.
Lachin Mandarawago Togo the Yidam Gurkir Jarjavan Irkamna, the Q Lama Damni in Dana, the Netari Yidam Damni in City, the Nil Hachin Mandarawago Yidam Damja, the Ninguru Rumbochigo, the Chutamchi Ishim Surgira Sonja.
So, for example, the great Princess Mandarava, when she saw the mandala of the Yidam deities appearing to her, then the Guru Rinpoche asked her, "Do you choose the mandala of deities? Do you choose the deities of the mandala, or do you prostrate? Do you choose to prostrate to the deities of the mandala or to your Lama?" And Mandarava prostrated to the deities of the mandala first, and it is the reason why Guru Rinpoche gave all his teaching, passed all his teaching, not to her but to Yeshe Tsogyal. So it's she did take at the end, then she prostrate to the deity, and therefore she didn't get all the teachings. And so at the end, all the mandala of the deities of primordial wisdom, they all disappeared after that, and she didn't get any teaching.
Perna Lama Rangi Taristayu Lama Tanatani, Yedam Jahor Ayang Mama Sharias, Ganos, Nangacharion, Tachuranga Kandami and Jena, Ta Parchevati to Yedam Damjotri, Ta Yena. The Savi Chanishani, Lama da Yedam Nikala, so that Shenlokoni, Lami Tari, the Sochiva Sonde.
So I think generally, if we see our root Lama, and next to our root Lama we see Manjushri appearing in real, or Avalokiteshvara appearing in real, then there's a risk that most of us would choose to first have more devotion or prostrate to the deity actually, but actually the Lama is most important. Like the blessings of the Lama are really the most important part, even more important than the deity itself.
Ate Lama la tapa got Lama la tapa te so Jimson Shiba tapa te Unetane Karchare the Jimson Shiba de so Tambo that is Sanji Chu la Tusum Yaz, Hazo. The net that is Sanjin Chundan de Samiki in Bashi. The net that is Sanji Sono de Chuyantapa in Ba. De that you Lami Kachan Martos and Majan Kangiana, Yantapaji Stockton Mare, Tansan, Lotra Chimbona, Girgan Mombo Yoreta, Yanayan, Kona Bagu, Jimjigzoi, Jimjigzoi, Tani, Ta, she paid Pechamambo, Rigeta, Jimjigzoreta, Jimjig the Shion Marto Zemana, then Stopi, she Caprijan the Grey Mare, then Gilum Kaka Susore.
So therefore, the Lama's devotion is very important. So this is what I wanted to say about the Lama's devotion, and mainly that you should have devotion based on understanding the reasons. This is very important. So you should first understand the Buddha's teaching by listening to the teachings and reflecting on them, and first understand that the Buddha is very authentic, the Buddha Sakyamuni, and that his teachings are authentic, and then understand the Lama's kindness and have like a real devotion for the Lama. And this is something that you need to understand by yourself, because if you take your ordinary teachers, like if you examine what they can teach you, the knowledge that they can teach you is very different and is much less profound than the primordial wisdom than that your Lama and the realization that your Lama can give you. So most of you here are following the secret mantra path and like Ngakpas and Ngangmas, and it's important to understand that in the secret mantra it says that even without very like a great experience in listening to teaching and reflecting on them, then one can attain liberation. This is very important to understand that.
So wogin na tak ngayana chulig tela so the cooker chanlu de da tene ngarmug rapshon garte ngarmug garte ni ore tene cooker chanlu de kimbi tenje yenna so dari chunyamslen kanga tene dari zank karo kyonje dan tene dari wacha the chanlu ngongo dari te poklorji chakana zona na churgir chaki rarwa dari katene 다지 단전 거기에 다는 접아도비 그 산집산주 생활 어단시 다는 그 기집시 디모송을 노르나다리 그 국커 장루데 제다는 대치다는 대치 니요레.
So actually in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism there are two sections of practitioner, the practitioners with the white clothes and the long hair, and the monks with the saffron robes. And these are the two sections of a practitioner. And as the Ngakpas, so those who wear the white robe and the long hair, so they are like lay people, but at the same time Dharma practitioners. So that's why they wear the white zen and the long hair. And in the Tibetan tradition, the long hair they symbolize like the hermit or those who have attained the realizations. But these two sections of practitioner so are very important in Tibetan Buddhism.
Tene rapshon ngarmung kirte sekitane tene chadang karpala soba chak tene lila yang tari chukur nambaksam tene kyone danan ta chone girte tene so raptu shongirde tene ta terta yude namba ni yor.
And then the monks, so they shave their hair and they wear the three kinds of Dharma robe, and they take the monk vow. So these are the other section of practitioners. So that's the two kinds of practitioner.
Ta tangsang yena rapshon ngarmung kirde je nyong re so to kukar changlu de tan da shokso so ga to ngma ta 대양 나 지금 랑랑 소소야 찾긴다 점서 요나 키나 봐야 왔더니 지 주바 마인 박잔다 만자와 그네 랑라쿠 가로 요나 할래 봐야 보래 네 ngama 위자다나 되네 다 ngur디 디모건난 거 되네 키나 봐가 다리가 지 촉강에 돈반돈디레 되네 다리 남자 다티소 다리 통근도 옛나야 가수 어잔다 만자와 그때 랑라야나 다리가 추비 남바돈식 거 되네 남자 다 example karo kyungi tertava ta chunyamslen brushinena tene chiyabore.
So nowadays the monks tradition with saffron robe seems to be sort of declining, while the Ngapa tradition of the white clothes seems to be sort of growing up, or like is sort of yes, like growing up. And when I see the clothes that you wear are very good. It's like it's good to wear like this specific clothes of practitioners of like secret mantra practitioner of the white robes. And I've seen on Facebook and WeChat videos and image of your practices and the Drupchen and so forth. And I was very happy to see the clothes that you wear, that are very specific to this tradition.
Ndaya sanji shakjata pi gombadan tambaji gre. Cherezena hun gerbo unra burdi. Tani kongi psumodana, kongi dari ndoyon tamchar pangmaniga. Tani mzami jitsir nyanggajan, warki nito jirkyangla. Ndoyon pangwi tarwana, namyamando godama. Zi godama zina jomdande zinari. Jomdande la kongo tani da gyari jitsir dana, tani gyari nkur dan, detso tamchadana, hajan nyamgawa dana, taga 다 예tâm 청와지다 레네네 다 높이 용들 ngaور pangwida tharwadana 다 남양 다리 먼저 그 가티 쪽적 남바 외치 다베처 소나라나 다쿠 데스타와 먼저 그 제디 정든 되는 노연 방 먹구비 다리가 드네 침비 람거 다소 상 ങ്ങൾക്ക് 춘도 다리가 송에 지마 되게 겨롱 거담 제바 종치금 버튼이야 줬대야나 다 산지고 셴나다 산흑 셴나라 때네다나 타라 통송들이 제이다나다 돌기치모 차그갑나 송요래.
And actually this tradition of secret mantra and of the Ngapas and Ngamas is accepted by the Buddha himself, or is according to the Buddha's teaching himself, since at the time of the Buddha, the king Indrabodhi and his sort of princes and queen were not able to abandon the worldly pleasures that they were enjoying. So they told the Buddha that they were greatly sort of rejoicing about him and the monks, and found it very admirable and beautiful, that they were monks and that they were abandoning worldly life, but that for them it was very difficult or impossible to do so. And therefore the Buddha gave this teaching to take use the pleasurable substances, or pleasurable or desirable things, or as the path. And therefore that was the teaching of secret mantra Vajrayana. And through these teachings of using the pleasurable things as the path, then we say that the king Indrabodhi and all his entourage attained liberation. So therefore this and that all the beings of this city, even the smallest insects, attain liberation. So due to the blessings of the secret mantra. So therefore this is already established at the time of the Buddha.
다이네요. 당성거 감나 데스타비 종kir그 뭐당 제바 탐치도나 릉증거 살락상 저거나 까모레다. 있나요? 다래 회나 금진 뭐범 잠소고 또 망각 치사바 세문즈 줄라서 바고 공바다나요. 당성거 감나 족바 침보 상화 흥금 틀라 때니나 때니 지금 릉내다는 정화 침보 매나요. 다리가 다 릉거 semgo 어쩌다 준다 또네 때니 릉증거 살라 그 가츠가울레 지엄에 비고는 섭득기 다리 대송 또 덴스트비 송모 요래.
So maybe nowadays maybe it will be difficult that all the beings, everyone in the city, the entire city, would attain the state of Vidyadharas, but yet through the power of secret mantra and the teachings of Zopa Chempo, just as the example of Mipam Gompo, who realized the nature of his mind by receiving the instructions, then it is possible to attain the realization of the nature of mind without having a very great quality of learning. So it is possible to obtain the stages of Vidyadharas even without having a great learning.
투슴 장화 자체 먹고 버 망을 기세모 경화이 종흥 파르모 체직 착청이 릉전 살락 식대 잡람 티송래 데 쳐져랬잖아 드니 딱성아 흥이 릉더 투바 자체 보면 실통 투바질 거래 투바 자체 뭐 베나다리 지 종가포 간다람 몸바나 참마다나 원마다나 실신 나서 바치더니 로 베나가서 자사가도 그런 밥저고네 나타 파치 가서 라롱 가네 나 롭종아 그런 아타리 종가포를 가르쳐요래 다 된다 잠고 다리 투바리치 메나야 쳐래 투바리치 먹고 버지 당연히 레전드 티츠도 트레이닝 당부 투바리치 먹고 버지 도르즈 있다네 투바리치 먹고 버지 그래와
So first, so about this realization of the nature of mind. So it is said that even without a vast, like a learning and reflecting on the teaching, through the pit instructions alone, one can realize the nature of mind and attain the stages of Vidyadhara. So therefore, in the secret mantra, we say we don't need to have a very vast, like a study of the teaching. We do need to study the teachings, though. It's like we do need to have a certain understanding of the secret mantras. But when we say this, like the studies don't have to be that vast. Like it's not like in the monasteries when you study the 5 great kind of scriptures like Vinaya and Abhidharma and logic and so forth. For example, in Santa Larongar, the study program is of 15 years of a study program for all the texts. So this kind of study you don't actually need to do.
투바제치 먹고 봐서 좀 까불nga 가자마트는 쳐서 these 오마를 거 these 근데 저 생각가 회나 다지 흥원로다는데 저 쇼소소가 투바 these였나 근데 가자면나 다지 투바제치 먹고 들어.
So when we say we don't need to have a vast study, it doesn't mean you don't need to study anything. Like in the secret mantra, you do need to study the view of Madhyamika, of the middle path, and you do need to study the teachings of preliminary practices and these things. You need to understand them, but it doesn't need to be like as deep and as vast of a study as studying the 5 kinds of scriptural knowledges and so forth.
내 망을 기sem을 경화해서 망을 기sem을 경화는 소다리가 되네 실던 그 망을 되라 다 몽보지 그래다 망을 기sem을 경구나 다리 공도 집안들 흥원조도 흥원에 차창지 손나 배여버려 막 도제면 흥원조가 망점에데 탁거가 당상 배나 처섬나 답다는 이시라마다는 대전다는 다 지금 간조냐도 뭐마냐도 탁거가 라마 탐주가 손돈데 라만가리 응알아 된자양 손거도 와 당보 흥조용데 때 납축금만데 저거 또 당내에 그만데 탁거가 르방고 전에 때니 그거 손나 배여버린데서다 다때 디즈 년까지 하는 연도래.
So and then we say through the peace instruction, one like should maintain the essence of mind, the essence of awareness, Rigpa. So the peace instruction, there are many kinds of peace instructions, but it's very good to first have the support of the preliminary practices. Otherwise, if you directly introduce the peace instructions, such as the 3 verses that hit the crucial point, or instruction of Yeshe Lama, or the Khandro Nintik, the hard essence of the Dakini, or the Bhima Nintik, the hard essence of Bhima Mitra. So, if you introduce that without the preliminary practices, then it can be a little bit dangerous. As some lamas told me, to Westerners you need to teach them directly the Dzogchen and the introduction to nature of mind, and then the preliminary practices. Otherwise, if you introduce only the preliminary practices, then they get very bored. So I heard that and I thought, this must be a little bit dangerous.
다 다리 진저스레데 가스팅 오니가 르방 멈춰 찾나다 다데 문조다는 데 뭔가 된자 장 매나야 초래 르방 멈춰 찾나 다 옛날야 소 르방 멈춰 비탑도 되네 장한테 배가르친 버리
So if we once we have recognized the nature of mind, then maybe it would be okay not to have done the 5 preliminary practice, but it is actually very beneficial to perform the preliminary practice in order to recognize the nature of mind.
다데인데 소 데 망을 또 그 셈고 종이 데 종lực 정화 침보 맨나요. 오늘 이제 라마프션럽잔 드니 로마요 따빠쟁이네나 드니 지금 망을요 저걸 거기는 또 곰잡는 셈고 종도 거다 르데리 데요레 데텔라 된 거래.
So mainly when we talk about the maintaining the essence of mind through the peace instruction, so is that without studying in a very vast way, like this very vast amount of scriptures, then through the blessings of a realized Lama and the devotion of the disciple, then with even a little bit of peace instructions, then by meditating them one can realize the nature of mind.
드니 데스타위 추 냠슬렌다 그 간삭데 체레즈나 종흥 파르모치지 종흥 종바가 나나 베나 즉 곰바가 나나 요니게 즉 랍도 총화다는 데네 게시당 관보 된자 마연잖아요. 런크를 끊어서 데네 즉 종바다는 삼강다는 다 니모 촌나나 요는 종흥 파르모치 데망 제가즈다 당가서 냐마가 촌나야 데스타위 추 냠르신 그 망보요는 라마페 다리 즉 짝 첨보가 그 자주장가 회나 딩곰 견수는 뭐지 던종은 뭐지 데라서 바가 회나 처지는 뭐지라서 바 당럽건 이렇게나요 라마 몸보지도 요너래 양때 따위다리 금 4년 뒤모 매양나란 다양하지 로마다리 용시다나 대전도는 지 다 자와 용시 디모 소양나 셈첫 따위다나 다 디모 배 몸보지 요건을 대내나 그 종흥 파르모치지다 종흥 다 무슨 파르타니나 다 쇼바요는 차른 초라였네 되니 지 건강원이 옛날에 투바요는 지 베나 지 게시다나 종가보르가보다는 디모초 탐치보 참마다리가 지 로종 탈신 맨킨가 하르타나단디 징에나 산나라나 동거던거 장기 다리가 지 셈견을 저타진 또용근 뭐지건데 딘디 달라만바 범것도 생원습스가 나나 치레되나 종흥 파르모 체지가 되게다 때때때송래.
So when we say to meditate on the it says based on the peace instruction, one can realize the nature of mind, and therefore the sort of this realization can arise in the mind of even like a very ordinary people, or any sort of like a lay people or like a city people. It doesn't have to be people who stay like in a hermitage for very long, or people who have very great study. And even the lamas, there's very great lamas such as Digo Khyentse Rinpoche, Dudjun Rinpoche, or Minling Chinchen, who themselves were Ngakpas. But there are also many other lamas who, like smaller lama with less disciples, some monks and as disciples, and maybe some lay people as disciples. And you could think that their conduct is sometimes a little bit strange and so forth. But yet, even without having a great study, and even from the outside, even if they don't look like they are great imposing lama, they still can have the realization of nature of mind, and give their student the realization of the nature of mind. And the same, like you can have some monks that don't really get a high grade of study, but yet they have ultimately realized the nature of mind. So therefore, this realization can be can even be found by ordinary people without having to necessarily be having a great level of study and so forth.
다 데이터의 종합 파르모체 착중의 릉전샤 락샤 다 베나 추 잠바였나다 베 다르로 몽보와라 도숨곤수시 까츠깔레 몽보지고레 레타나 상흑 걸릉도 다 딘지 까츠ꯛ 까블레 갑신 머고니 착중의 그 님반동제다나 대비전도는 지금 셈고라 따죠 다 디모가라 르초드나 송 곰나다 만나다리 데 르초다 디모건 조주고 차티 메나야 소 첨는가 되네 랑가양 다리 점상가 레가 또 자청가 레가 샤가 저저라 랑가 세마 되네 되네 남지가 내르감나 지금 샘가 내리게 되라양 다리가 지금 니시 더 많이 맞지 되어 내르감나 다 지금 배나 짜사금 좀 나타바가 종르그 지금 타르게 줘는 괴바침보 말했다는 만나요 다리 랑가 지금 랑스 마시로 하고 주비 다리가 다 좋아 주비 다리 쓰다 맞더라 대전도 또비요나 다리가 더니 좋아도 맞더라고 디모고 더니 다 내리게서 거난다고 또 추고 다 냠뇽서인데 랑식 그런 거 될라지 온지 욕송으로.
So when it says this realization can arise even into ordinary lay people or city people, so and also they don't involve great hardship or great difficulty. So unlike other teachings where it is necessary to have great study, great reflection, great long time meditation, the teachings of secret mantras can with little effort be realized. So without that you have to actually stay in retreat, in mountain hermitage, like even if you don't have these conditions, then just together with your work and taking care of your family, then if you have found this uncommon understanding of the nature of mind, and you maintain this certainty on the nature of mind, then without having to be a great erudite, then you can actually obtain realization. So even in the monastery, some monks that are actually not great, great scholars, or don't have great studies, but if they maintain their own ground and maintain a mind within the pit instruction and not separate themselves from these pit instructions, then slowly, naturally, the realization of the nature of mind can increase more and more in them.
Testa sak zamulgo sak lamulgo gane tene rangi jilla toba chabrisan ji jinru ju jimsen kangat yorejena khzu dan ringzin ki patam chepi song tene zablam gun to tene chu zabmon de gun to dan tene tare rangi sayulami bar kato tab jipa varma chapi ti tamtsig dana tene rangi tapa dan da chu jirtin temjin zo me kiryondida tengone so kanzak tamar baji nayo na tene chu zabmon dala tene rangi jilla toba chabrisan ji ji ondo tare ngosam chamayare.
So when we say it doesn't involve a great difficulty, one can attain realization without great difficulty, but then what are the reasons or the cause that can give rise to realization? So first you need to receive the precious teachings coming from the lineage of Vidyadharas, these very profound teachings of the Vidyadharas. And secondly, there must be no interruption in the samaya of the lineage lamas. So with your root lama and the lineage lamas, there should be no degradation of samaya, and also no degradation of samaya between yourself and your lama. And mainly your own devotion to your lama is what can give rise to realization. Even if you are like an ordinary person and you don't look like you have great knowledge or understanding of Dharma outside, yet you can realize the nature of mind with these conditions. This is something that is certainly and established in the Dharma.
다 추 냠슬렘 비용도 시나라나 추 냠슬렘제도 랑아 따빠요 네종테 되니 지금 샘경내릭 저타 아전 시기대 같성매바 베나 감킨 마번 잠수송언데 라비 예마치비 샘지어서 라미 망업도 김 통저지 라비 예마치비 비 레라보 옛날에 다 지금 랑가 예마치 바타바 데스타비 다리 샘지어서 라미 망업다 라미 신도 그렇고 네 다리 통으로 지르지 삼교 다 적절 모는 거까나 라비 임마치기 샘기성 마주 샘기성의 마신이 있나 되네 샘기성의 마신나 데토 등을 본도죠 데도 담치 게나라네 견지 그렇까나 손으로 샘기성의 거시 마주 좋아 쓰인나라는 정 샘기성의 때디 샘데라 항상하고 샘기성의 다 시선에 있나 디네 거나 되네 지금 그런데 그 주간당 강연나라 냠슬렌 거나 자거더니 지금 놀래실 거나 자고 레라보스 그 차오래.
So actually, if you have devotion to your Lama and the Dharma, then you can realize the nature of mind without really much effort. So, Rinpoche said, you can realize the nature of mind in a way that is almost unbelievable or unbelievably easy, like based on the blessings of the peace instruction of the Lama. Then one can realize that sort of secret aspect of the mind. So when you have, you maintain this secret aspect of the mind, then this, at the time when you practice or whichever you do, then you have obtained this secret aspect of the mind in a way that is you have found it in a way that is very easy to find.
So chen namba gandana chik semchik kor ko mangam gare jiore. Ta semchik mangam tamche posra ndi sona so sem rang se jok jitana sem ga rang shi je rang sir da ne ba ta te mangam tamchik sem rang se jale sem ga ngo shi je wonde tane 다가 적천게 있나 때네 도 그렇겠나 때네 도 바로 준비할까나 야 때래.
So you have probably received instruction about the nature of mind, or like peace instruction guiding to the nature of mind, and it mainly means to leave the mind in its natural state, or leave the mind in its unaltered state, and recognizing the mind as it is. So this is how we teach things in the Zopa Chenpo, the Great Perfection, which also in the sutra, it is the teaching of the Heart Sutra of the perfection of wisdom of Prajnaparamita.
베트남 도촉네 나 때네 셈라 셈맘 지바 셈지랑 저 곡사로 그래서 임 바르마 임 때네 임체 먹을까나 임 바르마 그럴까나 때네 셈 동안이 된지다 셈지랑 저 곡사로 인지 쓰니 그러고 때네 맞수 적친 거다와단 잡고 저송을.
So for example, in the sutras itself, it says mind is devoid of mind because as the nature of mind is clear light. So this in the sutras themselves, this is in the medium version of the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom. It says clearly that the mind is empty and the mind is luminosity or clear light. Just so that is very similar to the Zopa Chenpo teachings.
대동 잡고지 그 회나 자는 그 기박을 감나 도르지 줘봐요. 도르지 줘봐라 때니다는 다 So
in the Chinese tradition of Buddhism, we study a lot the Diamond Cutter Sutra, and there are also many people who attain realization based on this Diamond Cutter Sutra.
맞수 보바가 오직은나 쯤함에 잡힘도 니가 네 그거 저만 몇 잡힘도 네 외모 지진是英语怎么说对吧저만 잡힘도 그렇게 잡자.
There's a sutra in we study a lot in Chinese Buddhism called in Tibetan Buddhism called sort of the famous stainless sutra.
저만 몇 잡힘도래가 고송하다. 맞소 가르만 손나 계속 유럽날 결급만어서 가르만어서 내 가르만 보면시나 스피커를 가본다.
So it's very difficult that there's so many different languages in Europe and I don't know any of them, so it's very difficult with the language.
유럽 그 결급도 디스 망치약.
There are too many different countries in Europe.
팀도 대양 대 저말라 잡힘도 대양 다리다 뭔가리게 도대 돈이다는데 스스로 고랑 잡아톰도 뭐뭐요래.
And also by showing this sutra, like the famous stainless sutra, there are many people by reciting it. By reciting it, there are many people who have attained a realization just by merely reciting this sutra.
저만에 받잡힘도 그렇겠나 양송은 그랬더니 생각할까나 다 라마 유전으로 쳤송으로잖아. 데 셈합주 라운스 적바 추데스음 거진 연카지 연소. 더 마스음 메경 군 마품 잠수 진어다 나완더 마스음 메경 카르고네 хорта. 체르제나 랑게 셈데 맙주 여랑커 적주원더 조바침부 추데스음 거지. 다데 데스음 거진레 마시나 조바침부 추 탐측 바가다 추 탐측부 년커 옛날에 너 랑커 그 자나 마스음 메타나다 카르고네 쇼르타 zonda konk mang ta de stam kar kamna tinda sonore.
So it's, when Khenpo Philtsok used to teach on this sutra, the stainless, like famous sutra, and on secret mantra, he would say actually like to leave your mind in the natural uncontrived state. This gathers all the three sections and four sort of turning of the wheels of four four great Dzogpa Chenpo teachings. So it means in brief that all the Dzogpa Chenpo teachings are included into this sentence, saying just maintain your mind like in a natural state, uncontrived states. So I didn't want to say that, but it just sort of came out of my mouth naturally.
做的人给什么多个干呐等于남카 먹고 마오르자 때 남카가 빼셔 런가 셈다 뭐지 요래 다도 때런다니 고담 촌네 멈촌네 메시다 저도 배나 런게 셈기 뭐도 동의 찬이 남카다나 때 사라데 잠바가 포임 존오래.
So when we talk about the mind, like in the sutra, many times we compare the mind to the sky, and I don't know among you if some will understand what I'm saying or not, but when we say the essence of mind, so its empty aspect is similar to the space or the sky, but its clear, luminous aspect, this is, we take other examples for it.
감제 무슨 점서 축송을 되나 대체 탁기 남칼라 대바전의 ರಂ가셈 요즘 봐요 동안도 그러나 뭐저 다크 그 남칼라 때디 남카데 지양 다리 랑전 쯧바요 말아 되니 나랑 그 셈란 도착 제다 또 나르게 라소바가 똑똑 온자도 먼저가 기회네 그러나 랑기 셈 때라 때나 배낭이 도착 슈쿠르쿠 쉐크 보낼 그러나 되니 셈기 셈라네 그러나 셈기 셈라 때네 그러나 되니 다리 제든 거랑전 도착 거랑전데 지양 마트 바가 이시가 거랑전 저던 다 왔단데 라메 다리 모트너레다 라메 모트너 장즈 점선 맨날 라마야나 막송 라마였나요 다리 단다 마블라나 촌레다는 단데 뭐네 랑가 다리 나토 거랑전데 나토 이시진즈 삼건데 교더니 라메 망가라테니 랑기 다리 되니 코타 나니 저디 사로 저도 건조너.
So, for example, the teaching of Jamgon Minpan so it says that when you look at the sky, at the space directly, so the space is not materially existent, and in the same way, the whatever comes in your mind, even the afflictive emotions of desire, anger, arrogance, and so forth, so they just appear from the mind, and they are just the mind itself. So even when desire comes very strong or anger comes very strong, when you look at it, it is just like space. It is just without any solid existence, and this is the nature of the five primordial wisdoms. So this is what the Lama can introduce you to, and it's something that's so that you can come to experience by yourself that actually just the mind is not something solid, and that the emotions in the mind are not solid and are actually the nature of the five primordial wisdoms.
남카 지지도 좀 도르까나 되네 탐 몸보와라 되네 남카가 회셔요래 나 임 제바다 임 디바다 임 종 대소르까나 남카가 빼 몸보죠래 되네 빼나 ngakene kana chomzo kanjera longro temzo karkanayo da lega reregendana namka go pejane namka ngi ngama dare ti chomzo zu shakeyore tene 주방 가리가 제가 금전 침보도 남카 몸보서 제가 그것을 대 뭐네 남카다 다리가 배 같침보래 그 제존 지템 발라선로다나 되네 사드 런탄치 버래 사 티라 총총서는 골모 몸볼고 그래 추발라선로다나 남카다 델레랑 런탄치가 요래.
So actually the sky is something that in the sutras we use many times as an example. For example, in the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the Sutra of the Perfection of Wisdom, either the short version, middle version, or longer version, every time the sky is mentioned as an example. And in the secret mantra, for example, in the Choingze, the treasure of fundamental nature of phenomena, of the treasure of the expanse of fundamental nature of phenomena from Kunken Longchen Rabjam, and also on the commentary. So I was giving recently a teaching on that, and actually each chapter it talks about the space or the sky. So some practitioners, in the audience, they came to see me and they say, "Oh, Longchen Rabjam always talks about the sky, and it seems like the sky is so important." And actually, for the worldly people, the earth is very priceless, and people pay a lot of money for just a little piece of earth, of land. But for the practitioner, it seems like the sky is more valuable than the earth or the ground. I think he's afraid that I'm going to fall back if I lay down on the throne, lean on the throne.
남카라. 남카 당문에 추발라 상로다나 시동 맞수 샘지랑진데야는 총조 그렇게나 송데 남카데 똥차데와 똥아짱에 빠지래 된자와 코는 마양 송데 다른 샘지랑진데 우억사라즈 데르샤비 냠보 데네다리 우억사리랑진 저 토마메 바네 다가버도 요너레 디랑진도 고소나 조 샘징 오르동레잖아 똥아 코는 똑소는 잠즈경 샘징 오시와 말이야 송.
So when we talk about the sky, actually, for practitioners, when we talk about the nature of mind, for example, in the Choingze, the treasure of the space of fundamental nature, it says the nature of mind is empty like the sky or like the space, but not only empty, not like a blank emptiness, but it is also luminous. It also has this clear light, which is the Sugata Garbha, or the fundamental Buddha nature. So therefore, if you realize the nature of mind to be only empty, then you have not yet fully realized the nature of mind. You also need to realize its luminous nature.
Nama de dunjong ke kongwa, chakong dorji dunjong, ta ke kongma ona tero, te ke tari mangak ikchangari gana tenjik songchur, zogba chimbur tawa jiba de namka muk maur tsamu zeidana ta zogba chimbur tawa de chire zena zuo de tari namki rangjan ta namkala muk maur tsamzu ke chog song da tenja song.
So in the previous incarnation of Dudjun Rinpoche, Trabzon Dudjun Limpa, in his peace instruction about the Dzogchen view, so he mainly introduces the Dzogchen view as the space, saying do not lose the nature of space. So that is the Dzogchen view. Don't with your So don't lose space in your eyes or in the object of your eyes. Don't never stop focusing on space with your eyes.
옛날에 남칼람 통지온 말에 대전섭이 도그 간나 가르쳐는잖아. 남캄 통지 샘신스가 알죠. 남카 찌르트 통데 돈다 딱버지. 가리제나 남카 kum 통르제다. 남캄 통지온 말에 돈다 땅고서. 남칸 때는 동바라와 지금 통해요 말아.
But space in itself cannot be seen. So, so in the sutras also themselves say that space in itself is something like invisible, something that cannot be seen or like truly seen with the eyes.
잡마 그렇게 그러니까 남 디나 견당을까 이 남칸 남기 줍시만 저는 고성해. 그래서 견당 부가 견기 남카다는 부가 남카텔라니 요래서 배나 바르나 공부텔라다 견기 부가 견기 남카 근데 와르나 정 몸통화텔라 우기 남카제라데 견당부가 니기 남카 말해서 다때 먹고와
So it says about the sky that there is the sky, like the sky of the ornament and the sky of the hollow sky. So it is like the two sort of qualities of the sky. One is to be blue when you look up in the sky, it's blue, and one is of the sky to be like sort of empty. But this is not the sky. So the sky is something that space is something that is not having neither ornament nor hollow. So
these korkabons yende ta yenayande when namkha pe jale ta na rang semji to neligte to jeta tene zoba chimbur kana na dra tene woma chimbur kana na hale bakar chimbo yere.
So this is quite difficult to understand, but when we understand the nature of mind, either in the Dzogpa Chenpo or the Madhyamika teaching, this is very important.
Tene Dzogpa Chenpo ge yang tene ta namkha la hui jane de rang semji ngo ka de tongba ni ki tun te chirta wa to sir mang ge yan jan de mambo song chur yore te ran de ne sha pi kap mare.
So in the Dzogpa Chenpo teachings, so there are many many different teaching to explain you the nature of mind and make you understand the nature of mind from different points of view, which are not it's not at the time truly of the scriptural knowledge that we study this. It is truly to understand the nature of mind.
Inayang ta pe na ngalam sona terang rangi semde 남키 다리 회랍저리 다가 샤진의 발치르지 라마공마 남기 망업 잡슈는라고 대연.
So but today as I talked about the mind and the example of mind as the sky, so this is actually the deepest piece of instruction from my past, from the lamas of the past, the great lamas of the past.
겐덩거 ngarangi ngoni nayang 저 sherdanga chupa다는데 저 로트라침 뭐가 저 로마 게르건다 텐라인더 타비 또가 돈데 샤르 메 치레제나 코란소 요나야 지 추자 모델라 저타전도 냠을 체마라 옛나요나 제남바가 추속고 저 로마 중원이 있나 오늘 저 상나라 따빠 겐덩거 건슈 tene chokkan tarne yana halebaga chu semla tari chomoda kelnambe chuya da yabo nyamslen ge yonge tendas dare tendi jekin momoji la sano tangeda kungo tariga da lami namjur tam jewaga tene rangi semji mola tatsram dor dipa changji bayin.
So for myself this kind of teaching I don't give them to anybody or just like this. For example, if I meet university teachers who even know a lot about Buddhism and so forth, then I'm not going to tell them such a things because I know they don't practice this profound Dharma. But for you, the disciples here, I can see that I know you are practicing the secret mantra, and I can see in your conduct is very good. So I rejoice very much of what you're doing, and I think you are practicing with your mind. So therefore, based on these many causes and condition, as connected with this teaching on Guru Yoga, then I've given some teaching about the essence of mind.
Tani ta jarshung damjirwaga tani tsaka nijiki tsaka chigde nga chung boba ta terang boba momboji da me kada boba chola ina kartsang yang dipa zine tani jima tandana namka rinpoche re tani tari satya tari mkambu re tamayamba nga chundana nyama ga yang tari ga chawa lama tani kong namba tani tarong yang mombo yochire te so ina ina Europe ko shungdani nga tsu boba ga ina tani nabshok manda sodam nyamda chuchad jirka tani lama namba ga yana kong namba la yana nyarji girgo ne chuchad xung goga makto zaymana sachanda ina 다 지금 그러나 보여나 있나 지금 곰바 요너레 출퇴 요너레 고랍셰차 요너레 되니 mambo 요너레 되니 거리긴다나 있나 된다 요건 말에 다 된다 메송나라 고라다나 또 소다리 곰반 자지 옥소 말에 추시기데 소거래 되나 또다 아마 되니 남가름 보치다 콩남바가 화추는 거래 되니 견지그래 mambo 송래다 옛날 뒤잡나 다 지고 봐 요너면은 역사로 시그면도 되니 지만이 있나 tani mi nyonshi zuwe me na pe na za nima da tenro tsokta de kirong mazu boba la atari ga chuk songje tani kong namba ker namba ga yana chik sapchuk suso ga yong ne na chugu shirda na tani dani tari ga nafshok ma tamche tani gyanak ma tamche pe na tari yana dana tar gyanak ma gari yana kena jani tondu tani yinji ni tondu faransi ni tondu tani sacha suso ga tani daro gyanak ga 때 야낙네 스라 용도가 다 대소이나 사차 소소네 남지 나나고네 다는데 영어 추냥거 요래 다 소거 다리 그때니 된다 저거든 아주 보박 지 먹고 김선만도 때이나 때니 다 대랑 낸데 안에 양도 쳐남바 보바 소연나 마오나 다리 추처 지르고도 때니 다리 라만 남배 하나 또 보바 남나 또 쳤는데고 때니 다리 그 뭔가 속한 저거 사만득한 저거 때 참말 거고 때니 너쇼 뭐 코나 다리 추르노 연즈단 때니 샤쇼 다리 뭐 마임바다 야나 다리 라메 먹송네 야나 로메 맞나 때 다리 마레네 때나 지마 다리 그 따따근 졸게 디스 그거 넘버 장글 거고네 라마 남그 추송게다 로마 남그 추지죠 때 제박지긴.
So now, after this teaching, I want to say something more connected to the Tibetan tradition, and there's not that many Tibetan here, but there's something I also said yesterday, and I want to continue to say, is that Namkha Rinpoche is here, and Satya Khenpo also is here, and there's certainly also some other monks of the Nyingma tradition who are like good monks and know well about the Dharma here. And so the teachings, like the Tibetan people, you also need to come to the teaching, just like European people do. And please, the Lama also, Lamas, take them with your compassion and help them understand the Dharma. Otherwise, like in Tibet, most people they have monasteries, and they can do koras, and they can around the monastery and prostrations and so forth. But here you have nothing of that. But actually, the monastery is not that important. What's important is the Dharma, the teaching of the Dharma itself. So I know that many teachings have been given here on the books of Patrul Rinpoche, about the preliminary practice, and the Bodhicharya Avatara, the way of the Bodhisattva. And I don't know if many Tibetan people have come to receive these teachings or not, but I think it's important that you Tibetan people would also come to these teachings. For example, now there are many Westerners and Chinese people who have come to this teaching, and some of them have come from very far. Some from Canada, some from France, from the UK, or some even directly from China. So therefore, if Westerners and Chinese people do that, then there's no reason that Tibetans couldn't do that and couldn't go and get the teaching themselves. So, and also to the Lamas, I want to ask you, please just give teachings for Tibetan people. Make them do the 500,000 accumulation of preliminary practices. Make them study the logic and so forth. And because if it comes to the point where the Westerners are suitable vessels to receive the Dharma teachings, and Tibetans are no longer receiving the teachings, then that's like something really wrong that is happening now. So I would like to express my hope, my wish for all of you that to change this this way things are going now.
Tene ngarangso de bobaga toga lama namba soyena tene mawana tene ta Europe shogni na jaga tene napshok America shogni na jaga tene jima te ta na ngama yena ngaso de boba jagari yena boyeri yena chatin dis jane tene napshok kormo te so dis yona tene ta ri sharsho yone gomba jaya ta tene jar go yore 다 당상 옛날 곰바초 참마다 파르치다리 야그르쇼네나 자리 야그르쇼나 파르치아다 자와다리 제뇽 예레 데네 곰발라 강리오카요 마레 마소 보이르네 옛날 곰발레치 참마다 파르치 레차레 다 당상 옛날 데네 지금 납쇼다리 야이른 디모초 송에다는 데네 지금 고르모다 덴자다리 고야요 마레 데네 옛날 데네 마충오니 있나 다 지금 다리 그 쇼추가 송나 곰바 장치다 데네 지금 고르몰레야다는 덴자 메파거 소 르메 그거 그네나 다 추쳤다 다리 소 샤크요 양지 너쇼크 추촉나는데 소 있나 양지 추촉데 맘터네 그 말한 로르고네 zonte야 지금 추촉 그게 롤 용실에 요래 추촉고 다리 진경화 잠막도 되면 또 마음 바거도 다 관저다 만제와 그거 되는 가총 다리 보고 라마츠 있네나 소 다리가 추추샤게다 가르침보래 되는 너쇼고만 있나라고 보바 차가 있나라고 되는 자마가 양 즉 다리가 다 런거 차킨 지금 맨에 있나요 즉 차킨 치워줄 거니나 대라 말다나 다 르메크 다리 라마남바가 추송이 있나 다 랑아양 데스타비 지기 고르급 요르건데 디초 요르건데 가레게제니나 땅아 쿰쿰 요레젠데다 땅선 잠보는 거 mất 쓰야나 쿰용 계속 직장용을 말해 가르테 쿰요나라는 랑즈나티네 니막지가 공코레 쿰쿰시게 요레다 옛나야나 추르게 할레바 가르침보래 대이나 마체 통동디나 가수 추양딱 봐서 만드는 운에 따리 남즈가 신주 고고는 말인 대인디 다 말리는 보친도 토티다는 운에가 지 오바에 난자가 차버되거나 뽑아서 탐측 보고는 당안 납쇼가 내 아메리카 라소바송데 가차티모 몽보샤네 대인디 지 관절 그 다리 라맛 남라요 고바침보 만들 다리 대네 다리가 주반 남라요나 관절 몽보식 메나요 저기 요래 쪼도 다리가 다 추도 라마다나 되네 로마 참마가네 추인데 그 도르나시 견도 다리가 탑lâm 역고 그리고 참에 도르나시 고건도
So there are many Tibetan lamas in Europe and America, and I think in the past lamas had a lot this intention to give teachings in China and in the West with the hope to collect money to build monasteries in India and Tibet. But now I think there's no problem anymore with the monasteries. It seems like all the monasteries that had to be built are built now, and that we don't need especially to hope on any financial help from the Chinese or the Westerners. And that's I think teachings could even be free. And that's for my part, I always try to whenever I teach that the teachings are free. Of course, in the West, if there is a Dharma center, the teachings we need to collect some money for the teaching to maintain the Dharma center. That is, of course, necessary. But for the rest, there should not be hope to make a grade to collect a lot of money with the Dharma teaching. The most important is the teaching itself, because either you are Westerners or you are Tibetan, then it can happen that you are poor and you don't have enough money to receive the teaching. But the money is not important. What's important is to give your time and to have this opportunity for the teaching. So therefore, I know all of you will say, "Oh, we don't have time." But actually, in this world, no one has time. Unless you make time yourself, of course, everybody needs to work, and even on your free days, you find many things that you have to do that will take away your time. So, of course, you don't have time, but yet the Dharma is very important, and you have this precious human body, and you need to make use of it. And especially for you, the Tibetans, you have this opportunity to as Tibetans, to practice the Dharma, and therefore, money is not that important. We don't need that much money as a practitioner. Even if we don't have much money, it's fine. But what's important is to have interest in the Dharma and to work towards the path of liberation. And this is very important that you all would give rise to interest for that.
Tani dondak chida dandani de dari dangarang rizina suwon Namka Rinpoche chutsok de pewi yongre. De tong yongna tani da Tiananban tani rinzin tangchok langa tani da chuba mangbo jika tani chi semchit ko che tani chi loksam chuksam ko tsamda kiri tezo haleba yabo yongda tani wani gatsur chimbo yo tayang nga jingde danji zoyi dana tani chi kayak da ngurgagar kacha changmai tate ngay chang gudon yo mare te jimsen da mebayina jimsen mebayina da chi rangi ngurtu dana tega chi yabo yo mare nayang shok chigni tani chen namba gandana tani chu yabo tari drupka yo chi tela tari jisi yerang ayan terangar ngaru chucha tate mangto mangbo mendo kachanchi.
So now in this the center here of Namka Rinpoche, this is an textual link. So many of you are Dharma practitioners, and so many of you have practiced a lot and practiced the nature of mind. And I know many in the centers have done retreat, and many people now are starting a 3-year retreat. So I greatly rejoice of that. And it's not like I want to praise like this meaninglessly, but there's really great reasons for why I rejoice of the activities that are going on here. And this is it for the morning. And I'm not going to say more.